The message came without warning. Every screen on Earth turned black at the same time. Phones stopped working. News channels froze. Military radars shut down for 3 long seconds. Then the image appeared. A massive alien chamber filled the screen. The walls were tall and dark, made of cold metal that reflected blue light. Strange symbols floated in the air like glowing ghosts. Rows of alien leaders sat in curved seats, watching in silence. And in the center of the chamber stood 2 small human children, a boy and a girl. They looked about 8 years old. Their hands were bound with bright blue energy chains that glowed around their wrists and waist. The light flickered softly, like it was alive. The boy stood slightly in front of his sister. His jaw was tight. He was trying to be brave. The girl held her brother's arm. Her eyes were wide, but she did not cry. Behind them stood tall alien guards in heavy armor. The cameras zoomed closer. Across Earth, millions of people stopped breathing. In New York, traffic stopped in the middle of the road. In Tokyo, a train conductor forgot to speak. In London, a news anchor removed her earpiece and stared at the screen. Then an alien figure stepped forward. He was tall, with pale gray skin and sharp golden eyes. His robes were dark red, marked with symbols of power. His voice echoed across the planet. "People of Earth," he said slowly, "you have violated galactic authority. You have expanded your fleets beyond approved space." He gestured toward the children. "These 2 young humans are now in the custody of the Galactic Council. They will remain here until your leaders agree to our terms." The chamber was silent behind him. The alien continued. "If Earth refuses, consequences will follow." The screen went black. For a moment, the entire planet was quiet. Then the world exploded into noise. News channels began shouting over each other. Governments tried to contact the alien frequency. Social media filled with anger and fear. Military leaders rushed into underground bunkers. But in one quiet coastal house, there was only silence. A woman stood in front of her living room screen. She did not move. Her name was Commander Elena Reyes. She was the leader of Earth's planetary defense fleet. And those children were her twins, Daniel and Mara. The room felt too small, too quiet. She replayed the broadcast again. She watched every detail: the guards, the chamber layout, the symbol behind the alien leader, the position of the chains. Her face showed no tears, only focus. Behind her, a voice message began to play from military command. "Commander Reyes, emergency meeting in 5 minutes. We are preparing negotiation protocols." Negotiation. The word felt wrong. Her children were not political tools. They were not bargaining chips. They were 8 years old. Daniel liked building model starships. Mara loved drawing pictures of planets. They were not soldiers. Elena closed her eyes for 1 second. Then she opened them again. Calm, cold, decided. "They made a mistake," she whispered. Across the ocean, deep under a mountain, Earth's high command was in chaos. Generals argued loudly. "We cannot risk full war. They are children. The Council controls half the known systems." They crossed a line. Then the doors opened. Commander Reyes walked inside. The room slowly became silent. She did not look like a broken mother. She looked like a commander ready for battle. Her voice was steady. "Status." A naval officer answered quickly. "The twins are held inside a council central station in the Virac sector. Heavy defenses. Multiple fleets guarding the area." Another officer added, "The council expects surrender within 12 hours." Elena nodded once. "Recall all deep patrol fleets." The room froze. One general stepped forward. "Commander, if we recall the fleets, it will look like preparation for war." She looked at him directly. "It is." Silence filled the chamber again. On the far side of the moon, hidden from alien sensors, hundreds of human warships powered on quietly. Massive engines began to glow. Weapons systems activated. Shield arrays expanded. No public announcement was made. No threats were broadcast. Earth did not argue. Earth prepared. Meanwhile, inside the alien chamber, Daniel looked at his sister. Mom will come, he said softly. Mara nodded. She always does. Far above them, alien leaders watched human signals closely. They expected fear. They expected surrender. They expected emotional weakness. Instead, human communication networks went dark. Military satellites disappeared from scans. Fleet locations became unknown. One alien advisor shifted nervously. Why are the humans silent? The council leader narrowed his eyes. Because they are afraid. But he was wrong. On Earth, Commander Reyes stood before the largest fleet ever assembled by humanity. Holographic stars filled the room around her. She looked at the projection of the alien station. Her children were inside that cold metal structure. She pressed a single command on her console. Across space, engines flared brighter. Human ships began moving. Not slowly, not carefully, directly toward alien territory. Elena spoke one final sentence to her officers. Bring them home. And as Earth's fleets entered jump space, one truth became clear across the galaxy. The aliens had not captured hostages. They had awakened something far more dangerous. They had threatened a human mother. And now, the galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. The Galactic Council waited for Earth's reply. They expected panic. They expected loud protests, emotional speeches, and desperate requests for mercy. But nothing came. No messages. No negotiations. No surrender. Only silence. Inside the Council's grand chamber, alien leaders shifted in their seats. The glowing symbols in the air flickered softly, but the mood had changed. Confidence slowly turned into unease. One counselor leaned toward the main speaker. Human communication channels are quiet, he said carefully. Too quiet. The main council leader raised his chin. They are afraid, he replied. Fear makes young species freeze. Still, some of the guards tightened their grip on their weapons. Far away, in the cold depths of space, human fleets were moving. They did not move like alien fleets. They did not announce their presence. They did not shine bright signals or speak on open channels. They moved like shadows. Hidden behind the moon, massive human warships formed perfect lines. Smaller stealth ships slipped ahead, their engines nearly silent. Electronic warfare units spread out, quietly touching alien sensors and then vanishing again. On the bridge of Earth's flagship, Commander Elena Reyes stood without speaking. Holographic screens floated around her, showing enemy space, fleet paths, and unknown contacts. An officer stepped closer. Commander, Council sensors are sweeping their borders. They have not detected us yet. Elena nodded. Good. Another officer asked softly, Orders? She looked at the stars. They took children, she said. There will be no warning. Meanwhile, inside the alien detention station, Daniel and Mara sat on a smooth metal floor. The blue energy restraints still held their hands, but the guards had moved farther away. The children noticed it. They look scared, Mara whispered. Daniel nodded. They didn't expect us. The twins had always known who their mother was. They had grown up around officers, ships, and quiet strength. They knew what silence meant. It meant action. Back on Earth, the world watched helplessly. News channels replayed the alien broadcast again and again. People held their children tighter. Protests filled cities. Many believed humanity was about to bow. But deep under mountains and oceans, Earth's real response was unfolding. Human cyber units launched invisible attacks. Alien trade networks glitched. Navigation beacons drifted off course. Military data vanished from alien databases. At first, the Council believed it was a system error. Then a defense commander rushed into the chamber. Our outer listening posts are offline, he said. Multiple systems lost contact. The Council leader frowned. How? We don't know, the commander admitted. At that moment, a star map lit up. A red warning appeared. Unknown fleet signatures. Hundreds of them. Suddenly, human ships appeared at the edge of Council space. Not one, not 10, hundreds. They arrived in perfect formation. The Council chamber erupted in noise. How did they get there undetected? That's impossible. Raise shields. Mobilize fleets. But before the orders could fully spread, the human fleet stopped. They did not fire. They simply waited. Commander Reyes watched the alien response from her bridge. "They're confused," an officer said. "They should be," she replied. She leaned forward. "Begin Phase 2. Across space, small human ships slipped forward. They released pulses that did not explode. They did not burn. They shut things down. Alien defense grids flickered and went dark. Communication relays died. Weapon platforms froze mid-rotation. The Council's border fleet suddenly found itself blind and deaf. Panic spread. "They're disabling us without firing. What kind of weapons are these?" Inside the detention station, the lights dimmed. The alien guards exchanged nervous looks. Daniel felt the floor vibrate. "They're close," he whispered. On the Council's command world, the leader slammed his clawed hand down. "This is unacceptable," he shouted. "We hold their children." "Sir," an advisor said quietly, "they are not responding like a weak species." For the first time, doubt crept into the leader's eyes. On Earth's flagship, Commander Reyes received a new signal. "Commander," an officer said, "we have visual on the detention station." A hologram appeared. Cold metal. Heavy armor. Her children inside. Elena's hands tightened. "Prepare boarding teams," she ordered. One general hesitated. "The Council may retaliate with full force." She turned to face him. "They already did," she said. "When they took my children." The human fleet moved again. This time, it moved closer. Too close. Alien ships tried to form lines, but systems failed. Shields collapsed. Engines refused to respond. Human ships surrounded the station. Inside the Council chamber, silence fell once more. The leader stared at the star map. Human symbols surrounded their most secure facility. This was not a rescue attempt. This was control. Back inside the station, an alarm finally sounded. Red lights flashed. The energy chains around the twins flickered. Mara gasped. Daniel smiled. "They're here." Across space, Commander Reyes gave one final order for the phase. "Begin extraction." And as human boarding ships launched toward the alien station, the Galactic Council realized the truth. Taking human children did not make humanity weak. It made them unstoppable. And the worst part was still coming. The alien detention station shook as human ships locked into position. Inside the station, alarms screamed in sharp, broken tones. Red warning lights flashed across the metal walls. Alien guards ran through corridors, shouting in their own language. Nothing like this had ever happened before. This station was built to hold dangerous criminals, not to face a rescue led by an entire species. Daniel and Mara sat quietly as the floor vibrated beneath them. The blue energy chains around their wrists flickered again, weaker now. "They're really scared," Mara whispered. Daniel nodded. "That means Mom is close." In the Council command chamber, panic finally broke through control. A fleet commander shouted, "Human ships are surrounding the station. Our weapons are offline." Another voice added, "Shields are failing. We can't target them." The Council leaders stood frozen, staring at the tactical display. Human fleet symbols surrounded the detention station in perfect order. This was not chaos. This was planning. "How could they move this fast?" one counselor asked. "They didn't move fast," another replied quietly. "They were already ready." That truth hit harder than any weapon. On the bridge of Earth's flagship, Commander Elena Reyes watched the same station on her display. Every hallway, every defense node, every guard pattern. Human intelligence had mapped the station long ago. This moment had been expected. "Boarding teams ready," an officer said. Elena nodded once. "Send them." Dozens of small human ships launched from the larger fleet. They flew straight toward the station, ignoring defensive fire that never came. Alien weapons tried to power up. They failed. Human electronic warfare had locked them down. Inside the station, alien guards raised their rifles as doors began to melt open under focused cutting beams. The first door exploded inward. Human Marines entered like shadows. They wore dark armor with no markings. Their movements were fast, clean, and silent. One alien guard fired. The shot missed. A stun round dropped him instantly. The Marines did not kill. They disabled. They moved room by room, taking control with frightening speed. In the control center, alien officers screamed as human hackers took over their systems. We've lost internal controls. Doors aren't responding. This is impossible. On Earth's flagship, Elena watched calmly. Proceed to holding chamber, she ordered. Inside the council chamber, the leader finally spoke again, his voice tense. Contact the humans. Now. A communication officer hesitated. Our channels are blocked. Then unblock them. Moments later, a single human signal cut through. Commander Elena Reyes appeared on the council's central screen. She stood in her uniform, her face calm and cold. The chamber fell silent. You have something that belongs to me, she said. The council leader tried to regain control. Commander Reyes, this situation can still. No, she interrupted. It cannot. She leaned forward slightly. You use children to force obedience. That ends today. The leader lifted his chin. If you continue, this will mean war. Elena's eyes did not change. You already chose war, she said. You just didn't understand the rules. The signal cut. Inside the detention station, the energy chains around the twins finally collapsed. They fell to the floor as the blue light faded. Mara rubbed her wrists. Daniel stood up. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Then the door burst open. Human Marines entered, weapons lowered. Behind them walked Commander Reyes. For one brief moment, she stopped being a commander. She dropped to her knees and pulled her children into her arms. They held each other tightly. I told you, Daniel said softly. You'd come. Elena closed her eyes. I always will. But the moment did not last long. An officer spoke urgently. Commander, Council fleets are mobilizing. They're preparing to counterattack. Elena stood, her face hard again. Extraction teams, move the children to the shuttle. She turned back to the screen showing the wider battle. The Council was finally reacting. Alien fleets were jumping in from nearby systems. Hundreds of ships. Thousands. They had numbers. But numbers were not enough. Human fleets adjusted instantly. Formation changed. Weapons charged. New systems activated. Alien commanders watched in horror as human ships shifted into attack patterns they had never seen before. This isn't a rescue anymore, one alien general whispered. No, another replied. This is a demonstration. Elena gave one more order. Hold position. Do not fire yet. An officer looked surprised. They're bringing everything they have. I know, she said. She watched the enemy fleets approach. Let them see us. The twins were escorted onto a human shuttle. As it pulled away, Mara looked back at the massive alien station. They thought we were weak, she said. Elena placed a hand on her shoulder. They thought wrong. Back in the council chamber, the leader stared at the incoming data. Human fleets were not retreating. They were waiting. The alien fleets arrived in full force. And still the humans did not fire. That silence was worse than any attack. Because everyone in the chamber felt it. The humans were not rushing. They were choosing the moment. And when that moment came, the galaxy would never be the same again. The moment the twins' shuttle cleared the alien station, the silence ended. Across space, human ships shifted position at the same time. Their movement was smooth and precise, like a single living machine. Alien commanders watched in confusion. They're changing formation. Why are they spreading out? Before anyone could answer, space itself seemed to bend. Human ships activated weapons the galaxy had never seen. No bright explosions. No loud flashes. Just invisible waves moving through space. Alien sensors screamed. Shields are collapsing. Our power systems are failing. Entire alien fleets lost control at once. Engines died. Weapons went dark. Ships drifted helplessly, spinning slowly in space. The Council had prepared for war. They had not prepared for this. On Earth's flagship, Commander Elena Reyes watched calmly. "Target military vessels only," she ordered. "No civilian damage." An officer stared at the readings. "They're shutting down entire fleets without destroying them." Elena nodded. "Fear spreads faster when enemies survive to tell the story." Alien admirals shouted orders, but nothing worked. Their ships were blind and weak. Some tried to retreat. Human ships followed. Not to destroy, to surround. Back in the council chamber, panic broke all control. "They're disabling everything. We can't even escape." The council leader felt something new for the first time. Fear. He finally understood. This was not a desperate species fighting for survival. This was a patient predator removing its prey's teeth. Inside the shuttle, Daniel watched the stars streak past. "They're winning, aren't they?" he asked quietly. Elena did not smile. "Yes," she said. "But this is not about winning." Mara looked at her mother. "Then what is it about?" Elena looked out the viewport. "Making sure this never happens again." The shuttle docked safely with the flagship. Medical officers rushed the twins away. Elena watched them go, her heart heavy but steady. Then she turned back to war. Human fleets advanced deeper into council-controlled space. Every system they entered went silent. Defense stations shut down. Military shipyards froze. Command relays vanished. Alien worlds watched in horror as human symbols appeared across their skies. No bombardments. No invasions. Just control. On one alien planet, a governor whispered, "They could destroy us." His advisor replied, "Yes. But they're choosing not to." That choice terrified them more than death. Back in the council chamber, the leader slammed his hand down. "Contact all member species. Full emergency. We must strike back now." A fleet commander hesitated. "With what?" he asked quietly. The room went silent. They had nothing left that worked. At that moment, a human signal appeared again. Commander Elena Reyes stood before them. Her voice was calm. "You have lost military control of your borders," she said. "You have lost fleet command. You have lost the ability to threaten us." The council leader tried to speak. She raised a hand. "This is not a negotiation." Images appeared behind her. Council fleets disabled. Stations captured. Supply routes blocked. "You will release all human prisoners," Elena continued. "You will never target children again. And you will accept new laws." The leader's voice shook. "And if we refuse?" Elena looked straight into the camera. "Then we continue." The signal ended. In the chamber, no one spoke. They all understood. This was mercy. Human fleets paused their advance. Not because they were weak. Because they were waiting. In distant systems, alien civilians watched the stars, afraid to sleep. Every species had believed the same lie, that humans were emotional, soft, and reckless. They had been wrong. Humans were controlled, careful, and terrifying when pushed. On Earth's flagship, Elena stood alone for a moment. She touched the small metal charm around her neck. A gift from her children. An officer approached. "Commander, council fleets remain inactive." "Good," she replied. She looked back at the galaxy map. Human control zones glowed softly. "This lesson must be remembered," she said. Far away, the Galactic Council finally made a decision. Emergency signals spread across their worlds. They would surrender. But surrender would not end this. Because humanity had one final message to send. And the galaxy was about to hear it. The surrender signal spread across the galaxy like a quiet storm. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just unavoidable. Every major system controlled by the Galactic Council received the same message. All fleets stand down. All weapons power off. Await further instructions. Alien admirals stared at their consoles in disbelief. They had never heard such an order before. The Council had ruled through strength for centuries. Now it had none. Human fleets did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They simply held position. That silence told the galaxy everything it needed to know. On the Council's command world, leaders gathered in emergency session. The chamber felt smaller now. The glowing symbols above them dimmed, as if even the room understood their fall. One counselor spoke with a shaking voice. "We must comply. Humanity controls our fleets, our borders, our supply lines." Another whispered, "How did it happen so fast?" The council leader said nothing. His golden eyes were fixed on a single thought. They took children. And paid the price. A human signal appeared once more. Commander Elena Reyes stood before them again. This time, she was not alone. Behind her were human diplomats, military leaders, and legal advisors. Humanity was no longer acting as a wounded parent. It was acting as a power. "You will listen," Elena said calmly. The council leader bowed his head slightly. "We are listening." Images appeared in the air. Records. Evidence. Human colonies attacked. Treaties ignored. Children used as leverage. "These actions are now classified as crimes," Elena continued. "Not against humanity. Against the galaxy." One counselor protested weakly. "You cannot rewrite galactic law." Elena looked at him. "We already have," she said. Human fleets shifted slightly in the background. Not threatening. Reminding. "You will sign the protection accord," Elena said. "It forbids the targeting, capture, or threat of children. For any reason." Silence. "You will also dismantle the Council's military authority," she continued. "No single body will control fleets again." The leader swallowed. "And if we refuse?" Elena did not raise her voice. "You won't. Because they couldn't." Across Council space, alien worlds watched human ships remain steady in orbit. They could destroy cities. They didn't. They could invade. They didn't. That restraint terrified everyone. On Earth's flagship, Daniel and Mara watched the negotiations from a quiet room. Mara leaned against her brother. "Is it over?" she asked. Daniel shrugged. "Mom says it's never really over. Just quieter." Elena entered the room. Her face softened immediately. "You're both safe," she said. Mara smiled. Daniel nodded. But Elena knew safety had a cost. And she was willing to pay it. Back in the council chamber, the leader finally spoke. "We will sign." The words echoed like the fall of an empire. The protection accord was signed within the hour. Across the galaxy, alarms sounded as council fleets were officially decommissioned. Weapons powered down forever. Shipyards locked. Command codes erased. Species that had lived in fear for generations felt something new. Relief. And fear of a different kind. Fear of humanity's memory. Human fleets began to withdraw. Slowly. Deliberately. Leaving behind a message without words. "We are watching." On one distant world, an alien child looked up at the stars and asked their parent, "Will the humans come back?" The parent answered honestly, "Only if we forget what they taught us." Back on Earth, crowds gathered in silence as the news spread. No victory parades. No fireworks. Just understanding. Humanity had crossed a line. Not into darkness. Into responsibility. Commander Reyes stood on a balcony overlooking the ocean. The wind was calm. The sky was clear. Her children stood beside her. Mara held her hand. "Are you angry?" she asked. Elena thought for a long moment. "No," she said. "I was afraid." Daniel looked up. "Afraid of losing us?" Elena nodded. "And afraid of what I would become to protect you." The galaxy would talk about this day forever. Some would call it the fall of the Council. Others would call it the rise of humanity. But Elena knew the truth. It was a warning. A quiet one. A final human message written across the stars. Do not touch our children. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. And never assume we will forgive. Far away, in the ruins of the Council's authority, a final meeting ended. The leader sat alone. He looked at the empty chamber and whispered, "We should never have taken the children." And somewhere between the stars, humanity waited. Not angry, not proud, just ready. Because there was still one final chapter left. And the galaxy had not heard the last word. The galaxy did not return to normal. It never could. After the surrender, stars felt quieter. Trade routes reopened slowly. Military signals faded into silence. The Great Galactic Council still existed, but only as a voice, not a fist. And everywhere, one story was told. The day humans came for their children. Years passed. Human fleets returned to their borders, but they did not disappear. New defense stations were built, not to threaten but to watch. Humanity did not rule the galaxy. It guarded it. On many alien worlds, new laws were written. Schools taught new history. Children learned that there was once a time when power meant fear. And then humans changed the meaning of power. On Earth, life slowly became peaceful again. Commander Elena Reyes no longer stood on the bridge of a warship every day. She stepped down from full command and took a quieter role, guiding new leaders. Some called her a hero. Some called her dangerous. She did not care. She only cared that her children were safe. Daniel grew older, curious and thoughtful. He studied stars, not weapons. He wanted to explore, not fight. Mara became strong in a different way. She spoke clearly, fearlessly. She wanted to make sure no child in the galaxy would ever be used again. They remembered the cold chamber, the chains, the silence. But they were not broken by it. They were shaped by it. Far away, on an alien world once loyal to the Council, a memorial was built. It did not honor war. It honored restraint. A simple stone carried words translated into every known language. Here stands the lesson of humanity. Power used to protect, not to rule. Alien parents brought their children to see it. They told them the truth. Humans did not destroy us when they could have, they said. That is why we still stand. One night, Elena stood on the same balcony as before. The ocean moved calmly below. The stars were clear. Daniel joined her. "Do you think they're afraid of us?" he asked. Elena thought carefully. "Yes," she said. "But not in the way you think." Mara stepped beside them. "They're afraid we'll come back," she said. Elena shook her head gently. "No," she replied. "They're afraid we won't need to." Across the galaxy, small conflicts still happened. Fear still existed. But one rule was never broken again. Children were untouchable. Because every species remembered what followed the last time that rule was ignored. In the ruins of the old council chamber, the former leader lived alone. No guards. No power. He watched the stars through a broken window. He had ruled through control. Humans ruled through memory. And memory was stronger. A new generation of alien leaders rose, shaped by caution and respect. When they spoke of humanity, they did not speak of conquest. They spoke of limits, and lines that must never be crossed. Years later, a small human exploration ship arrived peacefully at a distant alien station. It carried no weapons, only diplomats. The station welcomed them. That alone would have been impossible before. As the ship docked, a young alien officer whispered, "They're humans." The station commander nodded. "Yes," he said. "Treat them with care. Not fear. Care." Back on Earth, Elena watched her children board their own ship for the first time. Not a warship. A science vessel. They hugged her tightly. "We'll be back," Mara said. Elena smiled. "I know." As their ship lifted into the sky, Elena felt something close to peace. The galaxy had learned. Not because humans were the strongest, but because they had chosen not to be cruel. And somewhere, far beyond known space, new civilizations would one day rise. They would hear stories about a time when a council believed humans were weak, about a time when children were taken, about a mother who did not beg. And they would understand the truth before making the same mistake. Humans do not seek domination. Humans do not forget betrayal. And humans will cross the stars for those they love. The day the twins were taken became a marker in galactic history. Not the beginning of a war, but the end of ignorance. And as the stars turned slowly, one message remained clear across the universe. If you threaten humanity's children, you do not face an army. You face all of humanity. And it will come.